What's up, guys? We are back. Fitness Profit Multiplier, Anthony and Jimmy. Today, we're going to be talking about do this on your next sales call and what that actually means. Hello, Mrs. Jones. This is Anthony from AB Fitness. How are you doing today? Okay, yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about the program? Yeah, sure. You're going to be coming in 3 times a week and you're going to be doing strength training with a linear block periodization, focusing on strength training. Mrs. Jones on the other end, like, what? What? What is this? What is this? What is this? I just want to lose weight. Yeah, and we're gonna make sure that you track every single macro that you eat, and you're having, 500 megs of, vitamin C every day. No, the sale is lost at that point. We're going to be talking about on your next sales call how to speak to members. So and people are always going to ask you for the details because they don't know what else to ask, right? So they're going to start asking, well, tell me about the program. So we're going to teach you today one trick that's going to explode your bookings to assessments. Big Jimmy, I know I was guilty of this. Nah, I shouldn't say I was guilty of this in the beginning. A little. I
So
spoke a little bit about what I did, but not so much. And then once I learned this, I was like, oh, and I never talk about it now. Even with clients, unless they really ask, then I'll dive into it a little bit more and give them like the sciencey answer. And then they kind of gloss over when you give them the answer anyway. And they're like, thanks.
yeah, that's so funny because last night I had 3 clients ask me like really detailed questions about their training, and these are clients that, right? So I know them as people, they like want those answers, but it's very rare that your clients are going to want these intricate sciencey answers that we were so passionate and so it was so cool for us to learn in college and in our certifications and everything. And we're so excited about the material, and we're like, oh yeah, this is cool that you can manipulate this in this way. Certain clients want to know, right? I have an FBI agent that we train who's like very analytical, and he like always wants to know like the intimacies of everything. So last night I had like a full-blown conversation about hypertrophy and like rep ranges and stuff. But
Sometimes I think they just test you. I really do. I
right,
think that's almost like, hey, I want to see what this guy actually knows.
how much
Sometimes I
do
think
you?
they're curious. I think
Yeah,
they're curious. But the way I've always explained this, and we do, weekly sales calls, bi-weekly, yeah, twice a week. Twice a week, we do sales calls with all of our coaching members. And I've explained this on numerous of those calls. If I wanted to buy a laptop and I went into Best Buy and I said, hey, I need to buy a laptop that I can edit videos on for my YouTube channel. And I asked the salesperson, I said that to the salesperson, and the salesperson told me, well, then you need a computer with 900 megs of RAM, and you need this much memory, and you need to have this much video card. I'm like, dude, what are you even saying? I just want a computer that I could edit videos on. That's exactly how the clients feel when you get into trainer talk. So, and this is the one tip, and then we're going to explain it more. So, whenever someone asks for the features, you're not going to give them the features. You're going to give them the features based on stories. So Anthony, tell me about your programming. Okay, Mrs. Jones. Well, let me tell you, we had Sally who used to come to us, and Sally was just like you, looking to lose 30 pounds, worked a very, very busy schedule, and we were able to be flexible enough for Sally so she was able to get in here 3 times a week. We set her up with a great nutritional program to help her lose 30 pounds in addition to the workouts. All she had to do was show up, do the work, and 6 months later, she's where she needs to be. That's it. That's the story. That's the sell. So you never give the features, instead you tell a story. And
right.
you always tell a story based on the client. Because most of the stories are the same. I lose 30 pounds, I'm really busy, 20 pounds, I'm really busy, or and occasionally you get the person who wants to lose more than 50. But that's like the general range between 20 and 30 pounds, I say, is like what most people ask for in the market that we're working with.
Yeah. Well, they say I could probably lose 15, but in all reality, they probably need to lose 30. But you know,
Yeah, that's another story.
but the principle that we're talking about today, um, this is called the third party verification story. Okay. TPV, right? And it's a principle that needs to be interwoven into every sales conversation that you're having at any point, right? So you can use it on your phone sales. You are required to use it in your in-person or your consults, right? You can use it in your,
And bonus points if you use it in the consult, if you actually point to the picture of the person.
Yes.
Bonus points if you do that, because now you just made that story real.
Yeah.
Mrs. Jones, you remind me of Sally right here. Boom. And you point to Sally's picture on the wall. Sally had to lose 30 pounds, blah, blah, blah. You made that story real to Mrs. Jones. And Mrs. Jones is like, wow. And I always love to end those stories with this line. So, Mrs. Jones, if Sally can do it, you can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, and then you get like the nod where they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's how you know you got it.
Yeah. She was just like you, right? She was just like you. And you can use this and you should really use it in both settings, right? You can use this in the collecting phase, right? Where somebody tells you their goal, they talk about their goal a little more, you dive a little deeper into their goal, and then you say, Sally, you know who you remind me of? You remind me of Jenny. She's actually right here on the wall. She's still a member of ours, and she, started out just like you. She sounds just like you're sounding right now. She was a little bit apprehensive initially. She didn't know if she could do it, but she followed all the recommendations that we gave her, and now she's here, right? You can use it again in an objection close as well, right? They're objecting and this and that, and you go, Sally, you remind me a lot of Deborah, right? Deborah was kind of in the same position where she was a little bit apprehensive. She didn't know if she wanted to start. She didn't know what her schedule would look like. And she thought the price was a little bit high, like you're telling me right now. But she took a chance on herself and she jumped in on the program. And now she's here. And I want that for you. So 3 times a week is the best program for you. What card would you like to use? Right? Whatever. So it's one of these things that you can use all the time, but you have to get used to telling stories, because people buy with emotion and justify those buying decisions with logic, right? People don't buy with logic. As much as you think that you buy with logic, like, oh, I'm a logical person, I buy with logic. I have a degree in exercise science. I'm an educated person, right? But you don't. You don't buy with logic. You buy with emotion and justify with logic, right? Just because somebody buys a sensible vehicle does not mean they bought that sensible vehicle because of the logic behind buying the sensible vehicle. They purchased the sensible vehicle because of the image that it portrays to other people, right? Not because it was the best decision for them, but because they want to be viewed as somebody who buys sensible vehicles, right? It's still a cheaper vehicle and it's a good resale value and all this stuff, but it's because of the perception that other people see them in that way, that they're the type of person that does that. And it's the same motivation to buy an expensive vehicle, right? Because of what other people think. And that's emotional, not logical. So it's the same thing with fitness and the same thing with sales. So get them, stories get emotions out of people. So that's a huge component, a principle of the sales system.
Yeah. And I also think too, like what we just said too, it makes it really, really real for them. They're coming into your facility, they're overwhelmed, they don't want to do this to begin with. They're like, I've done things in the past, I don't think this is going to work for me. So you verify those feelings by telling them a story of someone who felt the same way they did. And now you relate it. I always pick up Mrs. Jones and Sally, but Mrs. Jones feels the same way Sally did in real life. So now if Sally can do it, Mrs. Jones is like, well, I think I can do it. I think this is something that I want to try it. At least it pushes them over that mark where they're like, well, now I have kind of like background to say, well, if this person could do it, I could do it too. And it's motivating because it's the same kind of person. Like if I see, and I guess it's the same thing like in powerlifting and lifting in general. If I see someone, competing or put up a video online, it's like, well, if that person could do it, I could do it too. kind of a thing, and it's motivating in that sense. So you're just motivating them, and you're not selling Mrs. Jones the X's and O's of training, because that's not what's going to get her results. You're selling her the story that Mrs. Jones, you're going to be able to put on that sexy lingerie that you want to wear for your husband. I mean, I don't know if you would say that, but you get the idea. Like, that's what you're really selling to her, is that ability for her husband to look at her and say, wow, you look amazing. Like, that's what she wants. That's what
Right.
you're selling. And that's not, the problem is that's not a physical item that you can touch. It's not like, my supplements here that just got blurred out. But it's like, I have a bottle of my supplements that I sell in the gym. It's like, okay, here, you exchange the money, you get the supplement. This is what's in the supplement. This is it, blah, blah, blah. But, in a personal training sales atmosphere, you're not selling a physical item. So you don't really have logic to base this off of. You have to base it off those emotions. And when they ask for features and details by giving stories, it just even more reinforces the idea in their mind that, okay, this is the place for me. And this is I want to do this. I'm going to do this time. And that's ultimately what's going to create the change. So it's not like it's definitely a selling technique, but it's not like a sneaky way to get people to buy. You're just actually motivating them to do the work necessary to get the results. Because listen, we all got into this to actually help people. And how do you help them? You get them on the emotional level, because if you can get somebody on an emotional level, they're going to have more buy-in. When they have more buy-in, they're going to commit more. They're going to stay more. They're going to stay longer. They're going to buy more. They're going to get more of their friends to come in, and you're going to be able to reap the benefits as a fitness professional by doing that and doing what we say, putting 20K extra in your pocket every month.
Yeah. Sales are not sneaky, right? It's not this sneaky, sleazy thing that ate out to be when you think of the movies and you think of the story behind the used car salesman, right? That story gives you an emotional feeling in regards to that, like how you sense that person or that salesperson, right? And whenever they think sales, they think immediately, oh, used car salesman, sleazebag, right? But that is an emotional like trigger that is in your mind that says sales is sleazy, right? Sales is not. Sales is the ability to convince people to make a decision that is best for them through some emotional tactics or strategies, right? That's what sales is. The ability to coach people into doing something that's going to make their lives better because they want the product, no matter what it is that you're selling, right? It doesn't matter, right? Physical item, service, whatever it may be. And we're in the business of selling something that is probably one of the best things that somebody could be doing for themselves. We're not selling them, something that's going to put them in debt or in like a financial hardship. We're not selling them something that is, like we're not duping them into something. We're literally selling them a better life. And it's the ability to articulate that in a way that the client understands, not in the way that you understand it, right? So anyway.
Yep. So next time you guys have a sales call, sales meeting, and people ask for the details, you got to flip it. Tell stories. Stories sell. Stories motivate. That's what's going to be the key that's going to unlock more profit in your business. And if you guys click that link below, we actually have a link to our training in there where we help you add 10 new clients in 7 days with zero ad spend. You should probably make that an ad, man. That's cool. 10 clients, 7 days, zero ad spend. All the hand gestures. They say hand gestures actually help people sell. I don't know.
Well,
but,
you know me.
Yeah.
I talk with my hands like crazy. So
Yeah. So guys, if you want to pick up that training, just click that link below in the description. You could also join our Facebook group where we're building a community of gym owners just like you. And if you're interested in blowing up your facility and putting 20K and more in your pocket, not on the top line, in your pocket, just click that link below, book your call. Anthony and Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier, and we are